Yo, what's going on, everybody? So real quick, I wanted to do this video. Now, let me explain what's going on right now so people who are confused. I am using a screenshot recorder so I can view the video that's up here on the right. And I'm going to talk to you through here until I can figure out my OBS. So just real quick. We're talking about right now, we have Chris Wallace from Fox News, and he's going to ask some questions to somebody from Biden's camp, his campaign manager. Now, the questions he asked are very valid questions, and I want you guys to pay attention, because what this is going to show you is going to show you the hypocrisy. It's going to show you the hypocrisy of Mr. Joe Biden, because I'm trying to tell you, let me see if this works, because I need to cut this off. Bear with me, y'all. This is going to show you the hypocrisy of Joe Biden's campaign. Let's go through this video real quick.
Virtual campaigning, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden appears ready to make a change. Joining us now, Biden Deputy Campaign Manager Kate Bedingfield. Kate, welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Now that we know that President Trump is going to Kenosha, Wisconsin on Tuesday, there are reports that Vice President Biden will be making a campaign trip tomorrow. Can you tell us where he's going and what the message will be?
Well, I'll answer that question, Chris, but first I just want to go back quickly to a couple of things that Laura Trump just said. First of all, she said that Vice President Biden did not quickly condemn the violence around these protests. That's absolutely not true. He came out right after George Floyd was killed back in May and said there's no place for violence. He said it forcefully again this week, so that's simply not true. But the other thing we heard her say is, don't listen to what Donald Trump has said. Well, a president's words matter. They matter. Part of the reason that we are in the state of chaos that we're in this country is because Donald Trump has failed to lead on the coronavirus. He failed to take it seriously from the outset. And he's failed to be a uniter. He's failed to lead as we've been grappling with this moment of racial injustice in this country. So I wanted to address that from the outset, because neither of the.
Now, y'all heard what she just said. Obviously, if you ever watch Trump's briefings, I mean, he has said things about the people who've been getting killed by the police. More specifically, George Floyd. He definitely did come out and say something about that. So, she's full of shit right now, but we're going to get on that subject a little bit later. Let's go ahead and continue the video.
Things were true. But to your question, so yes, what I can say is you will absolutely hear Joe Biden out this week addressing this moment in the country. We will have details to share on the location shortly, but what I can tell you is that he's going to do what he's been doing across the course of this summer, which is calling together people, uniting the country, leading, encouraging.
Now, she's saying that he's been getting out and, getting people together and, uniting the country. But Joe Biden hasn't even answered any questions. Like, find me a briefing where Joe Biden is getting asked questions so people can know his agenda. Later on in this video, she's going to say, go look at his solutions to whatever problems that people are asking to be fixed. He doesn't have any. He literally doesn't have any. But let's keep watching this video, because she's lying right now. Joe Biden hasn't came out and did a briefing that involved him answering any questions. All he do is get up on that podium and talk, just like your boy Obama did. It's really no difference. My bad, y'all. It's gonna happen. Bear with me. Bear with me.
People to take on this moment with a sense of purpose. He's been doing that. He's been leading. It's exactly the opposite of what we've been seeing from Trump, who's been trying to incite violence this entire summer.
Just wait a second. Well, I'll get to violence in a second. No, I'm thinking in real time. The president is inciting violence?
You saw Donald Trump go to New Hampshire on Friday and say, protesters my ass. He's had
He said peaceful protesters my ass. Come on. Like, let's keep it real. Just look at what's been going on. Riots, looting. He was talking about those people. And Joe Biden and his camp obviously are either naive, or they just or they just talking up their ass so they can get some votes. But notice Joe Biden hasn't answered any questions. He hasn't been coming out to answer questions that people want to know. You know what I'm saying? Like he keeps giving you these hallmark phrases and trying to make it sound good, put some little flowers on it, sprinkle a little salt and pepper on it. But I mean, he's not saying nothing though. You know what I'm saying? So, she's talking about how Donald Trump said peaceful protest is my ass, because he was talking about people who was down there, looting and rioting and carrying on and killing people and whatsoever, whatever have you. So let's go ahead and continue this video, man, because she's full of shit right now.
The opportunity to speak as a leader to this nation that is hurting, to speak to people who are struggling, who are trying to rightly seek justice in this moment, but also who are looking around and who are afraid, who see chaos, who see
okay, but answer my question. You said incite violence.
Absolutely, he has. He has encouraged his supporters to go out, to be aggressive. You were just discussing with Laura Trump. Kellyanne Conway said it unapologetically. It is better for this president if there is more anarchy, more violence, more chaos. He has at every opportunity tried.
Now, that's the crazy part about it is if you can find me any point in time where Donald Trump has told people to loot and cause mayhem and wreck, businesses and shit like that. If you could find me something where Donald Trump has said that, then I'll fall back. But if you remember Maxine Waters, if you remember AOC, they telling people to actually go out there and cause noises. They a couple people from the Black Lives Matter movement, a couple people from the Democrat senator side. If you really look at this shit and you really go back to a lot of the stuff that the politicians on the Democrat side were saying, all of them were inciting violence. Every last one of them. Maxine Waters, let's just talk about her. Let that be a good example. Come on now.
To fan the flames here, and that is the reason we are living in Donald Trump's America. He is trying to make this argument. He is trying to make an argument about Joe Biden's America, pointing to things that are happening in Donald Trump's America.
All right, we're gonna get back to the violence in a minute, but I want to talk about this question of campaign traveling, because just 1 week ago, Joe Biden said that he was going to continue his very limited in-person campaigning. Take a look.
Can you win a presidential election from home?
We will. We're going to follow the science, what the scientists tell us.
But on Thursday, the vice president talked about he's going to be out on the campaign trail. He's going to go to at least 4 swing states. Has the science changed that dramatically in 1 week?
Those two things are not mutually exclusive, Chris. From the outset, we have followed the science. We have followed the public health guidelines. We have held socially distant, responsible.
Now, let me tell y'all what this means, okay? What he's pointing out is Joe Biden wasn't trying to come out. He wasn't trying to come out and answer people questions. He wasn't trying to have public briefings. But he was also, and because of that, and because he had that narrative and he was spreading that, I didn't want to come out because I want to follow the science. This is what's making them say that on the Democrat side that they don't even want to have public voting where people actually go to the voting booth. They want people to do it by mail. So what he's saying is if he's saying that, he's going to follow the science in one instant, why is he getting so desperate that now he's going to break that oath that he, put out to the world, put out to the people? Because now he's going back on his word. At first he wasn't trying to, do the whole public thing, but now he's going to go out here and do the public thing and speak to people publicly. But let's talk about this too. Because now, since we know that, you are more willing to go out in public and have your briefings and talk to people now, doesn't that mean that you should be, the voting, the voting booth should be available now? The debate should be happening. That shouldn't stop those things, right? Since we now know that you're going to be in public talking. I mean, I'm just saying. But let's continue.
Events with people wearing masks, with people taking the proper precautions. You know, obviously,
but answer my question,
very
Kate.
clear contrast.
He said a week ago that he could win the election from home. He was asked that. He said, we'll follow the science. Now he's going to go on a big campaign trip.
That's just disingenuous, Chris. He said we will win by following the science. That's what we've done from the outset. That's what we'll continue to do. That means we can hold.
Let's finish what she's saying, then I'm going to talk, because she might have a point. Let's see.
Socially distant, responsible events. You're going to see him travel. You're going to see him in battleground states. People across this country have been.
But see, here's the thing, though. He's saying that he's going to follow the science, but one of the scientists who is pretty much on their side, on the left or the Democrat side, he pretty much said that as long as you wear masks, you can go out in public. He already said that. And this is one of their guys. You know what I'm saying? He already made this public. What's his name? Fauci? He already made it public that everything will be okay as long as you follow the guidelines and wear your mask and stay 6 feet apart. Joe Biden could have been coming out in the public and talking to people. He's just getting desperate now because he knows it's game time. But let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Sharing sacrifice since the virus spiraled out of control this spring. They have been not attending family events. They have, not been attending weddings. The American people have really banded together and shared sacrifice to move us forward through this crisis.
But y'all the ones that's keeping people from doing it. Y'all the ones that's keeping people from their families. Y'all the ones that's keeping people from, going out in public and going to bars and stuff like that. Y'all the ones who advocating for people to stay in the house. So, I mean, what changed now? I'll tell you what changed. He's losing those votes. He's getting desperate.
We, as a campaign, have also chosen to behave responsibly. You don't see that. You don't see that from the Trump campaign. You certainly didn't see it last week on the South Lawn of the White House.
Didn't see that on the other side.
Let me ask you about behaving responsibly. The vice president was asked this week about how he was willing to respond to the coronavirus, especially if there's a spike. And here's what he had to say. Take a look.
Here's what he said.
I would be prepared to do whatever it takes to save lives because we cannot get the country moving until we control the virus.
So if the scientists say shut it down,
I would shut it down. I would listen to the scientists.
You heard what he said. You heard what he said. And you heard what he just said. And then you just heard his campaign manager say, we're going to follow the science when we go out here in public. But you was just saying that you was gonna shut the whole shit down, and you thought that was the right thing to do. Now you changing it up because now you got to go out in public and try to get your views back or your votes back up because you're losing votes. I mean, y'all don't see this hypocrisy. Y'all don't see this. Let's continue, man.
Biden's plan is not a solution to the virus, but rather it's a surrender to the virus.
Now, no leading scientist that I've seen is talking about shutting down the country again. So why would the vice president even raise that possibility?
Well, let's ask ourselves why we're in a situation where we would have to, Chris, because Donald Trump has failed to contain this virus. From the outset, Trump could have put in place a coordinated, aggressive federal effort. He could have put in place a supply commander to make sure that nurses and people on the front lines.
I'm not trying to.
Chris, you asked me a question.
No, I'm asking. The question I'm asking is a very specific one. It isn't about Trump's response. It's why is Joe Biden talking about shutting down the country again? That's the question I asked.
But it is about Trump's response, Chris.
You see, he wants to know what Biden's response is going to be. She keeps talking about how Trump is responding to it. We know how Trump is responding to it. He made it clear what he's trying to do. Now we want to know what Biden is doing about it. What does Biden plan on doing if he wins the election? He hasn't said anything about that yet. which is why he's losing numbers on the polls. But let's keep going.
Because why are we here? Why are we in a position where
that isn't the question I'm asking. I'm asking, why would he talk about, why would the vice president talk about shutting down the economy again?
Because Donald Trump has not successfully managed this crisis. We have over 180,000 Americans dead. We have a virus coursing unchecked throughout our country. We have people unable to live their lives normally. We have people unable to send their kids back to school. Families, parents all across the country are grappling with the fact that they can't send their kids back to school safely. This virus has turned our lives upside down. We are in the situation we are in because Donald Trump failed to contain it. He did not take it seriously from the outset. He did not put in place a plan. He did not put in place a plan to get the virus under control. And as a result, this is the chaos that we're living with.
Okay, let's talk about the violence issue. You make the point, and the vice president makes the point, that this is happening in Donald Trump's America. But the fact is that the president's attacks on Biden on this issue are gaining some traction. I want to put up some numbers. In a Washington Post poll this month, 42% of white suburban voters said Biden would make them less safe from crime.
That's pretty much majority of America for your ass. That's pretty much the majority. That's pretty much the majority of America. Y'all remember how some of these leftists be like the pro-black leftists, right? Because there's like sects of them, right? The pro-black leftists, they say the white people are the majority in this country. You're right. So don't be surprised when Joe Biden say some stupid shit and he doesn't get elected. Most white people don't fuck with Biden. Most black people don't fuck with Biden either. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to win. This might be a landslide for Donald Trump. This might be the biggest landslide since the last landslide. I forgot who it was, but you know. Well, let's get back to this video.
2% said he would make them more safe from crime. That's a 20-point deficit. How is the vice president going to deal with the fact that a lot of suburban voters, are now hearing, at least, what the president is saying, which is that he's going to protect them, and maybe the vice president won't?
Well, I think suburban voters are looking around at what's going on in this country, and they're looking at who's in the White House, and they're seeing Donald Trump. They don't see Joe Biden. They see Donald Trump in the White House. This is Trump's America. The chaos that suburban voters are feeling and that voters all across this country are feeling is the result of Donald Trump's failed leadership. What Joe Biden is going to do, he is going to continue to lead.
That's not what the polls are showing. That's not what the polls are saying. That's not what the RNC views are saying. I mean, they had what, like 28 million more views than the DNC? I mean, this is going to be a landslide for Trump. Do you understand me? A landslide. It's not even fair. I almost feel bad for Biden. I almost feel bad for it.
Going to continue to work to bring us together. He's going to put forward meaningful plans that address the underlying issues here. Plans that tackle systemic economic inequality in our society, plans that will bring back jobs, plans that will create jobs, and plans that will get the virus under control, which is the single most important thing that we have to do in order to get our economy back on track. So, Joe Biden has consistently...
I've got to... Kate, we're running out of time. I just want to ask you one last question, and it specifically goes to the plans. The president is going after Joe Biden as a tool of the far left. Here's what the president has to say on that.
Biden is a Trojan horse for socialism. If Joe Biden doesn't have the strength to stand up to wild-eyed Marxists like Bernie Sanders and his fellow radicals, then how is he ever going to stand up for you?
Right.
In fact, the Biden and Bernie Sanders campaign agreed on a detailed set of policies, and here's what Bernie Sanders had to say about that.
I think we hammered out some agreements which will make, in my view, Joe Biden a very progressive president if he in fact implements what has been written.
Yeah, you heard him.
And former President Obama said this recently. If you look at Joe Biden's goals and Bernie Sanders' goals, they're not that different from a 40,000-foot level. So are Obama and Sanders wrong about where Joe Biden would take the country?
The proof is in Joe Biden's proposals. Look at what he's proposed. Look at proposals that are going to bring manufacturing jobs back to this country, that are going to build clean energy infrastructure and create jobs.
Hold on. What proposals? What proposals is she talking about? We haven't seen any. We literally haven't seen any. So I mean, I don't. Let's keep going, man. It's almost over. This whole video was just cringe, man.
That are going to create caregiving jobs in this country. Look at his proposals. The proof is in the proposals, and I think the proof is also in his career, in the way that he has worked over the course of his career across.
Which proposals, yo? If you are a Biden supporter or anti-Trump, whatever, if you can find the proposals for Joe Biden that Joe Biden has put out to the public, post them in a comment. Post them in a comment.
The aisle. He's worked successfully with Republicans. He's worked successfully with independents. He's worked successfully with progressive Democrats. I mean, when President Obama and Joe Biden came into the White House, Joe Biden got 3 Republican votes for the Recovery Act, the single biggest clean energy investment in this country, the single biggest investment in bringing us back from the brink of nearly economic collapse in 2009. He did that by reaching across the aisle, by being able to get Republican votes. It's something he's been able to do his entire career. It's something he'll be able to do as president.
Kate, thank you. Thanks for joining us. And please come back.
Thank you for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
Oh, man.
You knew the risks when you decided.
Y'all, that's really all I got time for today, man. Leave your thoughts in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe. All I'm gonna say is this, man. Y'all get out there and vote. That's all I'm gonna say. Peace.